Hello everyone, I am Rajdeep Singh from SIRT Excellence, and today I am going to introduce you with a subject which is known as theory of computation, which we are studying in CS 5th semester. Its subject code is CS501, and starting with its introduction and terminologies, which we should understand before starting the core topic of this subject. So first of all, what is theory of computation? The theory of computation, which is also known as automata theory sometimes, it is a theoretical branch of computer science and mathematics, which mainly deals with logic of computation. Whatever computation which we perform in our subject, in this subject, the logic behind it is being dealt with this subject, which is known as theory of computation. This subject is a branch which deals with how efficiently a problem can be solved on a model of computation using an algorithm. We can say there are many applications of theory of computation, and if we talk about this subject, it is broadly divided into three areas. First one is automata theory, which we are focusing more in the according to the syllabus of our university, and second one is computability theory and complexity theory. So according to syllabus of RGPV, more emphasis has been laid on automata theory. Computability theory and complexity theory is studied in a brief in last unit. So what are the applications where we use this subject? So the very first and basic application where the subject is used is in designing the various phases of compiler design. I hope you all have heard the term compiler. So in the compiler design, in the design phase, designing phase of compiler, various phases are the concept of theory of computation are used in the various phases of that compiler. In designing text editors, spell checkers, and evaluation of arithmetic operation, the concept of theory of computation is used. If I talk about high level, yeah, high end applications, it is used in genetic programming, neural networks, robotic, and artificial intelligence too. So not going deep with application, we move on to what are the basic terminologies and what are the basic concepts which we should understood before starting the subject. So first of all, we are going to deal with languages. So what is language? Any language, whether it is Hindi, English, or Python, Java, anything. I'm just talking about language, not about uh, general communication language or a computer language. I'm just talking about a language. What a language should have. So a language should have three things, we can say that a language consists of or built up of three things. First one is set of alphabets like ABCD in English. We talk about C++. Could be ABCD 0, 1, 2 and special characters too. Now, second important thing which language should have is set of valid words. We have seen that set of alphabet should be there. The alphabet can be arranged in any manner. Like you can see here, I have written here like ACT and CAT. There are three alphabet ACT, which we have arranged in three combination. First one is ACT. Yes, this word has some meaning, act. Okay, so this is a valid word for us, we can consider it. Now scat, yes, it is also a valid word. Cat is an animal. So according to our dictionary or according to our table, we have this word, so we can say that it is a valid word. Now third one is tack. As such, there is no word defined and there is no meaning, so we can if we say in a straight forward manner, all the words which have some meaning in that language is called as set of valid words. Okay. And the third most important thing in any language, that language should have some grammar rules or syntax. Like I have written, for example, I have taken an example of English language, where we write subject first, then verb, and then object. So if I have written a sentence like that, a this cat is, it does not giving us any meaning. So because it is not following the grammar rules, so it is invalid sentence. Okay, if I rewrite it as this is a cat, yes, it is a valid, because we have we followed the rule of subject, then verb, and then object. So it is a valid sentence according to our grammar rules. Here if we talk about some general language like English or Hindi, we will say it as grammar rules. If we talk about some computer language, those grammar rule will be can be said as syntax. Okay, now what is this symbol? This symbol is called as sigma. In this subject, I know you know this symbol as summation, but for this subject we'll say it as sigma. Okay, so what is sigma? Sigma is actually set of input alphabets. Set whatever set of alphabets you are using in your language is called is denoted by this sigma. Okay, or what you what you call as summation in mathematics is here termed as sigma. Now what is string? You all must be knowing. I'm just repeating the concepts. I'm just refreshing the concept so that it will be easy for you to move on with this subject. So string, what is string? String is nothing but a sequence of alphabets and symbol. Now I have just discussed set of valid words and string. So क्या ये दोनों एक ही हैं? Not always. String is a sequence of alphabets and symbols, that's it. But if I talk about a valid word, it should have some meaning of, right? So if I just if I'm just talking about string, it is a sequence of alphabets and symbol, nothing else. Okay, now talking about length of string, so it is simple, and or to count the number of alphabets in that string, and that you will get the length of that string. And now how it is denoted? So it is denoted by this mod symbol. Suppose a u is representing a string cat, cat, cat. So if we write mod of u, that means I am asking about length of string. So what is the length of string? Just count the number of alphabets in that string, cat, that is 3. Okay, so 3 is the length of string. What is this e kind of structure, e kind of symbol written here is, this is known as epsilon. Okay, what is it? This is known as epsilon. Now epsilon, what is epsilon? Epsilon is null, is called as null string, right? Here I am writing the spelling of epsilon. So this is the symbol which is termed here in theory of computation as epsilon. Epsilon is null, is a null string. If you are going to find the length of this epsilon, it will be 0. It is very analogous to if you can remember the null set or empty set, what you have studied earlier in set theory. So in the same way, वहां पे आप phi से represent करते थे, यहाँ पे आप उस चीज को epsilon से represent करते हैं. Now next term is concatenation of a string. Concatenation is nothing, just joining the two strings. So if we have got some string u as a string which is cat, cat, and suppose we have got another string by name v, and it is house, house. So if we concatenate these two strings, which is represented by a dot, concatenation operation is represented by a dot. So if we write u dot v, it will be cat house with no space between them. Please mark this thing. There will be no space between them. Now this cat house will become a single string. Earlier it was two different strings. U is a different string and V was a different string. Now when we concatenate these two strings, it will become cat house. Okay. Now if you can see, I have written one more thing down there. The U dot V is not equal to V dot U. It is but obvious that if you write U dot V, it will be cat house, and if you write V dot U, it will be house cat. So these two strings are very different from each other. Okay. Now moving on to next slide. Substrings. Now what are substring? So I'm again taking an example of subset set theory. So as you have learned subset, the same concept is used here. Suppose you have used a string. Again I'm using the same string, that is cat. So if I am using a string U, which is if I am using a string cat, which is termed as U, so what will be the substrings of this string cat? So first of all, as in set theory, or every set has some subsets, and in which phi is also a null set is also a subset of that string. So here cat का जो substring होगा उसमें हम epsilon को भी include करेंगे, null string को, and we'll include that string itself also. So you can see here it at last that we have written cat also in substring. So वेरी मच सिमिलर टू सेट थ्योरी कि जब हम सबसेट्स लिखते हैं तो हम एक नल सेट भी लिखते हैं और उस सेट को खुद भी सेट द सेट इटसेल्फ इज इंक्लूडेड इन सेट सबस्ट्रिंग और सबसेट्स. So here epsilon is here, cat is here. Now one thing is here, one thing is different from set theory here. Here you can write C as a substring, A as a substring, T as a substring. You can write CA as a substring, you can write AT as a substring, but you can never write CT as a substring. C and T can never be separated because they have A between them. CA can be written separately, AT can be represented separately, but CT can never be separated. Just a single small difference from subsets is here. So this is substring. Hope you have understood this. Now moving on to next term, that is proper substring. So as its name suggests, proper substring means जैसा हमने पढ़ा था proper subset means the set itself doesn't exist there. Just a second. Here if I say I've just done a small mistake here. Just a second. So if you can see here what I have written here, in proper substring I have written epsilon C A T C A A T. Okay, will not include CAT. CAT is wrong here. I have written it by mistake. Please do not consider it here. Proper substrings are all the substring which are shorter in length than the original string. Okay, so now what are the non-null substrings? As its name suggests, non-null means will not include epsilon here, and rest of these strings will be considered. Okay, null string is withdrawn or declined, and all rest substrings will be considered here. And if we talk about proper and non-null, what will happen? Null string will be discarded, and the string itself will be discarded. Only the strings which are shorter in length than the original string will be considered. Next is prefix and suffix of the string. So what is prefix and what is suffix? So prefix of a string is actually the strings which are uh, coming in the, you can say, preceding the strings, preceding sequence of these strings are called as prefix of the string. Such as epsilon. Epsilon is considered here also. Now in CAT, C is preceding the string, CA is preceding the string and CAT itself is preceding the whole string because उसके बाद epsilon भी consider करते हैं. Similar is the case with suffix. Suffix में हम all those strings which are succeeding the given string. So CAT itself is considered. AT is succeeding it. T is succeeding it. And epsilon is again succeeding it. So these are the prefix and suffix of the string. Okay. Now moving on with next slide. Talking about finite state machine. So I will just give a small introduction of finite state machine. We will move on this with this topic in next lecture. Finite state machine is actually a machine that accepts the input as string, and in output it either gives a string as output or it symbolizes that whether the given string, whether the given input string was valid or not. So there are two type of finite state machine actually. One is with output and one is without output. In a machine with output, if you are giving some input string as per the design of machine and as per the requirement according to which it is designed, and in an output string is received in the output side of that machine. And if we talk about a finite state machine without output, actually output is there, but binary output is there. What does it means? It means that if you are giving in string as an input in that machine, that machine is responding in valid or invalid symbol, ye zero or one symbol, ye yes or no symbol. What does it mean? That it means that this machine is determining that input string is valid or not. This formal definition of finite state machine will be discussed in the next chapter, next video. Thank you so much for now.